Imagine falling into the ocean and continuing downward for nearly 7 miles. No sunlight, no warmth, no way to see what's in front of you. And at the very bottom, the pressure would be so extreme that it could crush a human body in seconds. Welcome to the Mariana Trench, the deepest known place on Earth. And somehow, life exists down there. The Mariana Trench lies in the western Pacific Ocean near the Mariana Islands. It stretches for more than 1,500 miles and reaches its deepest point at a place called Challenger Deep. Challenger Deep plunges roughly 36,000 feet below the surface. To put that into perspective, Mount Everest is about 29,000 feet tall. If you drop Mount Everest into the Mariana Trench, its summit would still be more than a mile underwater. That means you could stack the world's tallest mountain inside this trench and still have ocean above it. But the depth is only the beginning. As you descend through the ocean, sunlight gradually disappears. The upper ocean is filled with light, but below a certain depth, the darkness becomes permanent. At around 1,000 meters, sunlight is essentially gone, and Challenger Deep is more than 10 times deeper than that. Down there, it is completely black. The temperature is close to freezing, and the pressure is absolutely enormous. At the bottom of Challenger Deep, the pressure is roughly 1,000 times greater than the pressure we experience at sea level. Imagine the weight of hundreds of elephants pressing down on every tiny part of your body. That is the environment waiting at the bottom. And yet there are living organisms down there. For a long time, scientists wondered whether anything could survive under such extreme conditions. Then they discovered that the trench wasn't lifeless at all. Tiny organisms, including microbes, thrive in the darkness. Some animals have also been found living at incredible depths, including unusual amphipods and other creatures adapted specifically for deep sea life. These animals don't need sunlight. Instead, the deep ocean is fueled largely by organic material falling from the waters above. Scientists sometimes call this falling material marine snow. It sounds beautiful, but it's actually made up of tiny pieces of dead organisms, waste, mucus, and other organic particles drifting slowly toward the seafloor. For creatures living in the deep, this falling material can be food. So even thousands of meters beneath the surface, the ecosystem is connected to everything happening above. And then there's something even stranger, bioluminescence. Many deep-sea creatures can produce their own light. In a world where sunlight never reaches, some animals have evolved chemical reactions that create flashes, glows, and pulses of light. They use these lights to attract prey, communicate, confuse predators, or disappear into the darkness. Imagine looking into the blackness of the Mariana Trench and suddenly seeing tiny points of blue or green light flickering around you. There is no sunrise, no moonlight, no daylight, just creatures creating their own. But the Mariana Trench wasn't always known to be this deep. In 1875, scientists aboard the HMS Challenger made some of the first measurements of the trench. Using relatively primitive equipment compared with today's technology, they discovered depths far beyond anything previously known. Over the following decades, scientists continued trying to understand this enormous underwater landscape. Then in 1960, something extraordinary happened. A crewed vehicle called the Trieste descended into Challenger Deep. Inside were oceanographer Jacques Picard and U.S. Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh. They spent hours descending through the darkness. As they approached the bottom, the pressure became almost unimaginable. Eventually, they reached the sea floor. They had gone deeper into Earth's oceans than any humans had ever gone before, and then they noticed something that surprised them: life. Even at that depth, they reported seeing a small creature moving across the sea floor, and the observation helped reinforce a remarkable idea. The deepest place on Earth wasn't necessarily a dead place, it was an ecosystem, and we've barely explored it. That's one of the strangest things about the Mariana Trench. Humans have explored only a tiny fraction of the deep ocean in detail. We have mapped enormous portions of the seafloor using sonar, but actually visiting these environments is incredibly difficult. Every trip requires specialized vehicles capable of surviving crushing pressure, freezing temperatures, and complete darkness. And the deeper you go, the harder everything becomes. Even communication is difficult. You can't simply send a normal radio signal through miles of seawater. Instead, deep sea vehicles rely on specialized communication systems and carefully engineered equipment. In 2012, filmmaker James Cameron made history by becoming the first person to make a solo descent to Challenger Deep. He traveled inside a specially designed submersible called Deep Sea Challenger. The journey took hours. He reached the seafloor and spent time exploring before beginning the long journey back to the surface. But even after decades of exploration, the trench continues to surprise scientists, because the Mariana Trench isn't simply a gigantic hole in the ocean. It's a geological scar created where one tectonic plate is forced beneath another. This process, called subduction, happens over millions of years. The Pacific plate is being pushed beneath the Philippine Sea plate, creating one of the deepest features on our planet. And this enormous geological process is still happening today. The trench is a reminder that Earth isn't finished changing. The ground beneath us is constantly moving. Mountains rise, oceans change, continents shift, and deep beneath the Pacific, Earth's crust is slowly being recycled back into the planet. But perhaps the most fascinating part of the Mariana Trench isn't its depth, it's what we don't know. Scientists continue discovering new species and new behaviors in the deep ocean. Some organisms have evolved adaptations we are only beginning to understand, and there may be entire ecosystems down there that humans have never seen. Think about that. On the same planet where humans have built cities, traveled into space, and photographed distant galaxies, there is a place right here on Earth where darkness has existed for millions of years, a place where the pressure could destroy ordinary equipment, a place where sunlight has never reached, and yet life continues quietly, completely cut off from the world above. The Mariana Trench is Earth's final frontier beneath the waves, and every time we descend into it, we're reminded of something incredible. We may know more about the surface of other worlds than we know about some of the deepest places on our own.